One of the biggest mistakes that caregivers make is trying to manage caregiving without systems. And honestly, I understand why. Because whenever caregiving begins, most people enter survival mode emotionally. They're reacting, adjusting, trying to keep up, trying to help, trying to prevent things from falling apart. Many caregivers start operating day by day without realizing how much mental load is carrying over from minute to minute. But eventually, from my experience, chaos usually catches up emotionally. Missed appointments, medication confusion, constant stress, vision fatigue, emotional exhaustion, overwhelm. And many caregivers think the answer is simply, I need to work harder. But often the real answer is, I need better systems. Because caregiving without structure eventually becomes mentally exhausting. And I think caregivers underestimate how much emotional relief comes from creating systems. Systems reduce mental load. Instead of trying to remember everything constantly, systems creates organization, predictability, and stability. That matters deeply in caregiving because caregivers are already carrying so much emotionally. Simple systems can make a huge difference. Things like keeping one central caregiver binder, tracking medications clearly, having routines using calendars, creating emergency contact lists, scheduling respite care, sharing responsibilities, having organized medical information, preparing questions before appointments, and building support systems before burnout happens. Now, these things may seem small, but they reduce emotional chaos tremendously. And honestly, one of the hardest parts for many caregivers is feeling like they personally have to handle everything alone. But sustainable caregiving cannot depend on one exhausted person carrying it all by themselves. That eventually becomes overwhelming. And this is why asking for help matters. Not because you are incapable, not because you're failing, but because caregiving is often too large emotionally and practically for one person to sustain over a course of a long period of time. I think many caregivers wait until they're already drowning before they actually implement systems. But systems work best whenever they are built proactively instead of reactively. Caregiving becomes far more manageable whenever there is structure supporting the caregiver too. And no, systems does not make caregiving less loving. In fact, systems actually allow more caregivers to be more emotionally present because they're no longer operating in constant chaos and mental overload. And that's important because many caregivers are not only just mentally tired or physically tired, they are overwhelmed from trying to remember, manage, coordinate, and carry everything at once. And over time, that kind of overload affects emotional health deeply. And I think so many caregivers deserves permission to stop carrying caregiving in such a chaotic way. And think of caregiving in a way to say, how do I get support for all of this that I'm carrying? Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already done so. And also check out the solutions and caregiving resources that I have available. I'll leave the description below. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.